Hello princesses! Today I'm going to be doing an introduction to beauty, which is going to be basically like part one of bases. So today I'm going to be talking about finding your skin tone and your skin concerns, which is going to be as helpful for next week's video, which is like how to find the right base product for you and how to apply them. So please watch this one first because otherwise the other one won't make that much sense. So the first thing that we're going to be talking about is finding out your skin tone. So this one can be probably one of the hardest parts of beauty, and it's something that like I can't necessarily help you with unless I see you in real life. So there are three main types of skin undertones, but you can be a combination of a lot of them as well, which is kind of frustrating. So the first one is warm skin tone, which is my skin for sure. I have very, very yellow skin. So if you look at my neck and my hands, they look very, very yellow in comparison. My face today isn't actually a bad match. This is MAC NC5, which is a new color, which I'm testing out. I've got like a teeny tiny sample pot. So my skin is very, very yellow. I fall into the warm category. Warm skin tones can be light to dark, so that's like sort of like the ratio there as well. But if you're a warm skin tone, you generally tan really easily, which is 100% true for me, and you usually have green looking veins in your skin. Mine, some of them look blue, some of them look green. It's kind of like not a deciding factor for me really. So the big veins that run through this part of my arm are really green, but the ones that you can see really easily up on my wrist are really blue. So, you know, that doesn't help sometimes. The other skin type is a cool skin type, which is a pinky kind of color. These ones you usually have blue veins and you don't tan very easily. You're more prone to burning. You also have neutral skin tone as well, which can be a combination of both. You generally have green and blue veins like I do, and you can lean either towards the cool side or the yellow or warm side. So warm tones don't necessarily have to be yellow as well. You can have like peachy colors too, which is why it's hard even though you might get something like this foundation, which is a warm tone, it might be a peachy warm tone, and therefore on yellow skin is gonna look dumb. My number one top tip for finding your skin tone is to go and get matched. Get someone else to help you, and if you are lucky enough to have like a department store where they have lots of different counters that can do colour matching, a lot of them do colour matching for free as well. So just go in, get yourself colour matched, and then take home sample pots. So like I showed you with the MAC sample pot, this is just, it's a small pot and they fill it with foundation. You get to take it home and you get to see what it looks like in your own natural lighting, because even though this looked fine on me when I was in the store, yeah, it looks like a little bit light, maybe. I think it's passable though. So everything always looks different when you go outside as well. The studio lighting or like the indoor fluorescent lighting is going to make you look slightly different. So don't just try a foundation on in the store and then immediately buy it, because it's not necessarily going to work. It's really good if you can get colour matched at a couple of different stores as well, because then you can use things like Findation.com, which is a website where you can put in your foundation matches and it'll give you other foundation matches that will match you as well. It is so good. There are not really that many K-beauty brands on there, which is so not great, but it's really, really good if you're just using Western products. So like your L'Oreal's, your MAC's, your Estee Lauders, things like that. All of those matches will be in that system. So if you can find a couple of good matches, that is key to finding the perfect shade of your foundation. Also, don't worry if you get a couple of foundations that are not the right shade. Like it took me years. I didn't even know that I had yellow skin for like forever, pretty much until I got NARS Sheer Glow in Siberia, and everyone was like, that's like a banana color, and I was like, but it matches perfectly. So that's how I know what to ask for when I look for foundations. It really is trial and error. You cannot sort of like list out your things and always get the right color. It's important to try them before you buy them if possible, which is why buying Korean cosmetics online is so hard and why I always do like foundation reviews. So once you've found your perfect skin tone, which may be neutral warm, maybe neutral cool, it could just be warm, it could just be cool, you need to find your sort of shade range as well. So it just goes from pale to dark. Generally that's how it works. Usually the lightest shade will have the smaller numbers, so you might have a number code on your foundation. So like if you're looking at the one that I have in front of me now, my number code for this one is Y03. Y is warm toned or yellow toned, and 3 means it's on the lighter spectrum. You could have Y010, which would be same tone, so yellow or warm toned, but it would just be darker. And again, it's hard to guess. what kind of number you will be after you find the right undertone. It depends on the foundation, it depends on the brand as well. A lot of brands will be different. So one of the brands that is kind of hard to read for numbers and codes is MAC. So they have NC, which is for their warm toned, and then they have NW, which is for their cool toned. But if you swatch them, the NC ones are definitely yellow and the NW ones are definitely pink. If you're buying a MAC foundation, just go into MAC and get them to match it for you. That's the easiest thing to do, if possible. I know it's not always possible, but yeah. The MAC ones are the most confusing, but a lot of them are pretty self-explanatory, and if you can go in and buy them, that's even better. Otherwise, just look at foundation swatches online as well. If you can see ones that look like they would match you, then give them a go. See if you can get testers, see if you can buy like secondhand foundations. If you're in the US, I believe Glambot is a really good site to buy secondhand foundations. You won't pay as much, but they're all also quite like sanitized as well, I believe. I don't know, I don't think they ship to New Zealand, so I've never tried them. So you've got your skin tone, you've got your skin like shade range sorted. Hopefully. It's literally one of the hardest things I think in makeup. Now we're going to talk about skin concerns because that will lead on to what kind of base you want. So skin concerns are similar to the video that I did yesterday with actual skincare skin concerns. So do you have lots of rosacea? Do you have a lot of acne, or is your skin super perfect? So you want to think about your skin concerns before choosing your base, because if you have perfect skin already, you probably don't want a high coverage base because you don't have that much to cover unless you want to look like you've got high coverage on. I mean, it's again personal preference, and that's kind of the hardest thing about giving advice for skincare and beauty in general, because everything comes down to personal preference. I can say you've got perfect skin, you should use a lightweight BB cream, but if the person who has perfect skin wants to use a high coverage foundation, like go ahead, you do you. But that makes it hard to give advice for everybody. So I hope you guys understand that this is just very generalized. It's not a rule, general advice. So if you have acne, you're probably going to want a fuller coverage because you want to cover that acne. If you don't want to cover the acne, go for a lighter coverage. Go ahead. I totally did when I had acne. I really didn't care. But choosing your coverage level is important as well, and that is where your skin concerns come into play. There are some things that a foundation just will not cover. So for example, this is a birthmark. It is a Cafe Olay birthmark. It's a light brown color. It gets darker if I tan my skin, and it stays lighter if I keep my skin light. It's just like a normal piece of skin. It's just a different color. This is what it looks like with a higher coverage foundation on it. This is again MAC Studio Fix Fluid, and I just put it on the birthmark. It's not going to cover it. There is almost nothing in the world that is going to cover it and be comfortable. Yeah, I could put on 10 layers of concealer, but it's going to look stupid. I can say from experience that 10 layers of concealer over one portion of your face versus the rest of your face doesn't look good, and I don't want a full coverage foundation anyway, so I honestly don't really care. So, but just be aware that things like birthmarks, really heavy scarring, they can't always be covered, and that's okay. Unless you get like special effects coverage foundations sometimes. Thin Lizzy, even though they show people with tattoos being covered, I still don't find that that covers a birthmark. So I don't know how they got people to cover their tattoos. I'm thinking that they just use some special effects in post-production, but I can't prove that. So that's just something to be aware of. So one of my skin concerns is that I have a birthmark. I'm aware that nothing is really going to cover it, and that, again, like I say, is okay with me. I also have acne scarring, so I tend to go for a mid-coverage foundation, ideally something that's buildable, so that I can get a little bit more coverage on my cheeks where most of the scarring is, and I have a little bit of pimples around my chin, so I want something that is going to layer nicely on top of the acne and not cause any extra texture. I do also have larger pores, so I don't want something that is going to emphasize those. All of these factors come into play when choosing a foundation. I also prefer a dewy finish, which is your glossy, like sweaty looking finish, I guess, if you had to use like an easy term to explain it, rather than a fully matte finish, because I feel like the matte finish makes my skin look dry, and I personally don't like that. So when I look for a foundation, I'm looking for mid coverage. I don't want it to be too fake looking, and I don't want it to be too sheer. I want it to look like more perfect skin. I want something that has a dewy finish rather than a matte finish, a like semi-dewy finish is great as well, so like best of both worlds. And I ideally like something that is thin and easy to use, so I prefer a liquid foundation because it settles much nicer over raised acne than a powder or a like cream foundation would. So that is how you use your skin concerns to find the perfect base. Okay, so that is it for finding your skin tone and skin concerns. So next week I'll be doing part 2 of the bases, which is how to actually apply them using the right tools, concealers, as well as setting powders. So the information from here will be used in the next one as well. So that is all for today. I hope this was easy to understand. I'm not sure if I did a very good job of explaining it, but I tried my best. Also, please be aware that I am not a beautician. I am not a qualified cosmetologist. This is just based on my own opinions and like experience. I do get a lot of questions about like the basics of beauty, but yeah, I haven't done any videos on it so far. So I hope you guys enjoy this. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!